Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to introduce Justin Goodbread. He's a if I could say it, that would be really cool, but he's a business strategist and coach transforming service-based businesses. Justin helps entrepreneurs uncover hidden value in their companies while reclaiming the lifestyle they've dreamed of. As a certified financial planner, exit planning advisor, and value growth advisor, he brings extensive expertise to his coaching. With a track record of starting and selling 6 companies for 6 to 8 figures, Justin's programs help business owners scale to 7 figures and beyond. His practical strategies and deep understanding of service-based businesses have earned him recognition as one of Investopedia's top 100 most influential advisors for 5 consecutive years. Get ready to meet a coach who's not just growing businesses, but transforming lives and creating lasting legacies. Justin, welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild.
Hey, Sue, thanks for having me.
So glad you're here. I've been looking forward to this. This is great. So let's dive right in. I'm so curious, who do you help? What problems do you solve for your people? Just hit me with it.
So first and foremost, I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner now for 30 years. I often say that if you can think of a problem in business, I have faced it. Literally, I can tell you the nightmare. I have the scars and the battles and the battle cries to deal with this. So yeah, I'm a business owner first and foremost, but I think whenever I have the privilege to serve folks now, I'm helping business owners who are in the service industry rapidly scale their companies, more importantly, unlock value in their companies. And here's why this matters to me. So statistically speaking, there are 32 million businesses right now, roughly in the United States, that employ people. And for business owners out there, 80% of their net worth is their business. So when we look at their financial statements, 80% of their net worth is comprised of their business. But statistically speaking, they will not sell their company. And so my brothers and sisters out there in the community who are in their communities, who are sacrificing for their teams, for their customers, for their charities, for their communities, end up in destitute needs later in life, or they end up working till they're 70, 80, 90 years of age, and then they have to sell their business and they're broke. And I'm just tired of seeing that. So after exiting my previous company, I'm like, there's got to be somebody out there who's waving this warning sign, right? Who's saying, look, you're a business owner. I get you. I know the tenacity and the resilience that you have. I know your heart. I know you're some of the most selfless people I know. But unless you put the oxygen mask on yourself first and take care of yourself, then friends, you're going to be the statistic. Now, here's the statistic. Here's what drives me crazy as a consultant or as a coach. In the next roughly 5 years, there are 11 million business owners because of the baby boomer generation, we call the great tsunami, or because of the Gen X generation that I'm in, who are going to try to sell their companies. The next 5 years, roughly 11 million business owners will try to sell their companies. Those are the ones who are already planning it. It's not the ones who are going to have to because of health or divorce or something that's going to come up. But out of those 11 million, only 1 million will actually transact. Let that sink in.
Yeah,
that's less amazing. Than 10% will actually transact. Now, out of those 10% that transact, only 40,000, 4% will be happy with the number they receive. So think about this. You've now, as a business owner or coach to business owners, they've invested decades of their life building a business, serving the community, helping their employees, helping their charities, helping everything. And now their largest asset, their business, is illiquid, and they're not going to sell it. And they've lived through this company spending money on cell phones and kids' travel and everything within the company, plus their draws, and they're not going to be able to maintain their lifestyle. So Sue, after exiting my last company, I sold my companies, and then I was placed as the president of the company and helped this company sell for 9 figures. And I'm like, I'm tired of watching my peeps, my brothers and sisters out there sacrifice and then end up being destitute, as the statistics in the story is. So today I had the privilege of shouting from the mountaintops, leading on my podcast, on stage, writing books, doing things, saying, as a business owner, hear me, you better wake up, you better make some changes today, or else you're going to end up having problems in the future.
Oh, Justin, you are singing that. Yeah, I hear you 100%. This is so many in that generation thought maybe that their kids would take over too. And it's like they don't want anything to do with it. So now, they don't know how to sell it. They don't know they could sell it, and a lot of times with a service-based business, especially, people feel like they are the business. And man, so how do you help them? Or you're in coaching, you're doing one-on-one group coach. What all are you doing?
Yeah, so we have several different offers, but I want to bring back before we get to the offers. I want to talk about what you said. The
Mm-hmm.
reality is that so many business owners think their kids want it, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Statistically speaking, they don't. But think about why. Because our kids have been sitting around the table whenever we come home after a rough day, and they hear us and they see us and they see us weather it. I mean, I'm sitting here gray and bruised and battered after 30 years of being a business owner, and none of my children want it because they've seen what it's done to dad and mom.
Yeah.
And so to think that our child is going to come in and buy the business is misdirected, number one. But number two, do you really want to be the bank for your children? Do you really want to put your children in a position to where now you're relying upon them, that your retirement is on their back? And many business owners haven't thought about this. So the idea of a business is simple. Business is there to create wealth, period. It's not to build a legacy. Now, I know that flies in the face of everything out there, but it's not to build a legacy. It is there to create wealth in the same sense that a stock portfolio is or a real estate portfolio is. And if you understand that it's there to build wealth, then the idea that we need to invest in our companies to drive its value so that somebody is willing to pay us for our companies is simple. So how do we serve people? So I walk people through a 4-step process, and we deliver this information through many of our different curriculums. We have a coaching program where people do a DIY pace. We have an intensive, which is 12 weeks of online where I rip your business apart. We put it back together and we send you on your own. We have a mastermind structure. We have one-day events, we have boot camps, we have so many things that we do to help business owners, but it's all around this one simple framework. And it's the framework that I used in my own company. So in the first 3 businesses I sold, I didn't know what I was doing. I was young. I had a landscape company, then I had a consulting company, then I had an insurance-based company, and I sold all of them, made some money, but I didn't know what I was doing until one of my friends, a business owner in the Smoky Mountains up in West Virginia. He and I are sitting on the top of a hill. We had just finished deer hunting. We're sitting in a side by side. The smoke from the Smoky Mountains is climbing across the vista. We could see the sun setting. You could see it. You could taste it. The fall air, the yellow trees across the mountain range. And he looks at me with this attitude, Sue, this broken heart, and he said, "Justin, I'm broke." Mm. Now, this is a 50-year-old who is a second-generation business owner who's invested since he was 16 years old in this company. And I'm like, I knew what he was saying, but I wanted him to feel the pain, but also not only feel the pain, but realize he had to resolve to make change. He has to decide he's going to move something different. So I said, "Why do you think you're broke?" I said, "I look at your shop down here and you've got over $2 million of earth moving equipment. You've got to pay for a house. You got this." He said, "Yeah, but when I sell my equipment, I'm going to have recapture tax and I'm going to get pennies on the dollar here. Yeah, my house is paid for, but I live vicariously through my business and I can't maintain my lifestyle, Justin. I'm broke and I'm 50 and I'm tired. What do I do? I cannot live and I cannot move forward." That was the same conversation I had when I after selling 3 companies. I'm like, there's got to be a way that a business owner can follow a methodology, a framework that yields a positive outcome. So I took his trouble. He and I worked together. I did some extensive training and then invested countless hours of my time reading and researching, and came up with a freedom framework that I worked in my own company and took a company from startup to 8-figure exit in 49 months. This gentleman in West Virginia took his company over the same 49 months and retired without having to sell it because of the same framework. And now he's retired and financially secure. So the framework is, number one, you've got to know your business value. What is your business worth today? Not what you think it's worth, but what an investor is willing to pay you for your company. Then number 2, what is the delta between your current value and what a best-in-class business of the exact same flavor would be? The reality is that every business owner has room for improvement. And unless they're best in class, that improvement could end up being 7 or 8 figures in value. Whoa. That's buried within the company that we know how to unlock it. We can unlock it. So framework number 1 is what's your company worth? Framework number 2 is how much pent-up value is in your company? Framework number 3 is how do we unlock the value? So I use an 8-square methodology. Don't have time to get into today, but how do we unlock the value? And then number 4, who's going to hold you accountable to that value move? See, we as business owners, we know we're a tenacious lot and we have a lot of wisdom, we have a lot of experience, but we're our own worst enemies. because we know our company and we're capable and we're resilient and we have all these qualities, but one of our qualities is we're control freaks. And unless you have somebody who can shake you like my dad's many times did as I was a kid, shake me by my shoulders and say, wake up, you're going down this road. Unless you move difference, you're going to have a negative outcome. So that individual in that West Virginia mountaintop, as they're sitting on the side by side watching after a good day of deer hunting, he made a decision he was going to change. He followed a framework and his outcome was monumentally affected. So that's what we're teaching business owners, that you can have a monumental move. You can create generational wealth. You can create that freedom that you got in business to experience to begin with. You can create that if you just focus on value versus everything else.
That's incredible. I'm happy for him. I'm like, I can feel it. This is an amazing thing. And then knowing that there are all these other clients that you're able to do this for too. Now, as you said, like if there had been any business mistakes, you've probably made them. What has your overall entrepreneurial journey been like? You've had all these exits, like that's incredible. It could not have been so easy.
We went through a 7-year tribulation. I say this, so first of all, I'm a Christian, so everything's couched in my belief. And so I went through this tribulation period whenever I think God ripped everything away from me except for faith. And during this 7-year time period, what I experienced was a lot. I dealt with a lawsuit that broke us. Here I was, 28 years old, debt-free, little top of the world, running as a CEO of a firm, and I found fraud. And I was faced with a lawsuit defending myself. At the time when Bernie Madoff's in the news, it was not fun. During that 7-year period that cost me $300,000 in legal fees, I was accused of a lot of different things, wrongfully accused. Had to defend my name and reputation. During that 7-year period, my wife and I had 3 miscarriages in the 2nd and 3rd trimester, hard times. Yeah. My dad passed away, he was my hero. People in my wedding party committed suicide. Just a hard time, one thing on top of the other. But in all that time period, what I realized is that God has prepared me for what he's preparing me for. He's preparing us in these times of incubation, these times whenever life just gets hard as business owners. And if you're a business owner more than a day, you faced a hardship. And he takes that hardship and he puts us through where we're ultimately dependent upon, in my belief, him. And as that dependency came about, I now look back with this frame of mind that said, if I got through that, this is easy. And every business owner has that. Maybe you don't have the same faith position that I have, but you had this time in your life whenever it just got stinking hard. And as the old saying goes, you had to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right? You had to lean into that storm. You had to face the wind. You had to fight the giant. And you know that if you were able to make it through that, whatever that was, come hell or high water, come a COVID, come a market crash, come whatever it is, you got this. And that's where that resiliency and that tenacity comes. So yeah, I think that there's every business owner who's been around, who the world sees is successful, they have what the world often doesn't see is the scars, the pain, the hardships, the things that we're uncertain, the fear we face where we lay awake at night saying, what am I going to do if my team member leaves or my key customer leaves or my vendor doesn't provide me this good in time? We all face these things, but we also know that based on our past experiences, that if we got through that, then the future, the vision that we have, the mountain we're charging at this point, we got this. So that's what I love about my brothers and sisters who are business owners, because we have this tenacity. We have this tenacity that'll help us, but it's also our Achilles heel. And we got to get out of our own way as business owners, or else we're going to end up being that statistic that none of us want.
Yeah. Oh man, that's you've gone through, definitely a lot. And I love that perspective of God is preparing us for what he's prepared us for, and that's how we hang on. But man, absolutely. So with all of these ups and downs and all that, and I don't know, maybe it's different. I'm curious. You probably have people around you who can go, hey, Justin, take blinders off here. This is an issue. Do you have a growing edge that you can see all right, this is the next mountain to climb?
That's an interesting question. I think I couch everything within a vision. Mm-hmm. So every business owner has a burning desire. Many times we don't think big enough. So one of my things that I've learned in my own career is I want to think bigger than I've ever thought before. I want to scare myself, which is hard to do because I think pretty big. In fact, I scare people when I start talking about how big I want to, as big as I think. So as I look at the calling that each of us have. Each of us have something that we know we're uniquely equipped for, and that we know we were placed here on earth for. We know that in our person. Sometimes we can't identify it, but we know that we're here for that reason. So when I look at this calling, I say, okay, I have this big idea out here in the future, and if that's there, I'm going to pursue it with everything I have. I'm going to pursue it in such a way that whenever the time comes for me to meet my maker, I'm surrounded by my deathbed, my kids can say, hey, he left it all on the field. So if you're pursuing that, whatever that vision is, whatever your desire, your outcome is, and you're willing to sacrifice everything for that calling that you have, I say everything figuratively. I'm obviously not going to forsake my family or my faith for these things, but if I'm pursuing my calling, then everything's going to be in alignment for that, because that's what I'm made for. As long as I keep that in the focus, it really doesn't matter what comes up. It doesn't matter what the next trouble is. It doesn't matter what the next opportunity is. And so I think I view everything, Sue, at this phase of my life, 30 years now, 7 exits in the company, some things that God's allowed me to achieve in that lens, that he's not done with us. And there's a calling that we have in our life, and we just have to be bold enough and have a little bit of faith to say, hey, I'm going to pursue that. And if we do that, if we pursue it in our integrity and our earnesty and with all we have, then at the end of the day, we don't live in regret. And I think that, to me, is a fear I have of looking back and saying, I wish I would have. Mm-hmm. I wish I would have whatever. So for me, whenever I sold my last company, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids. I can remember sitting in a tree stand here in East Tennessee, deer hunting and working. And my son looked at me and he said, hey, there's a buck. I didn't see it. And I knew at that moment that the work was overriding my family. And so now, after being intent, growing value, building businesses that are able to be sold, or able to actually create the golden goose, if you will, because I didn't have to sell. I could have just taken, and sat back and just collected a royalty check. Now I'm at the position where, I'm going to go elk hunting for 2 weeks with my son in Colorado and watching harvest his first elk. Or I'm going to go fishing. We spend a whole month down in Florida, offshore fishing, catching marlin and wahoo and mahi as a family, and bringing clients alongside, having that opportunity now of living in the outdoors and at the same time impacting business owners. It is a dream come true, but it all is encompassed in that vision that each of us have as business owners.
That's huge. That moment of realizing, as you're sitting in the stand and there's a buck and your son's like, hey, Dad, and you're like working, that had to,
It broke
that's
my heart.
Yeah, it'll get you right in there, and that's beautiful that you were able to see that and adjust for that and go, wait a minute, that's not good. I can't do that. So in your business now, what would you say the biggest challenges are that you're facing?
Challenges is interesting. I don't think, it's going to sound cliche, I don't think there's challenges. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that is because after 30 years and literally coaching hundreds, if not thousands, of business owners to success, the challenge may be is that I can't achieve it fast enough, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Because if you take a step back and you follow the principles of business and you follow the fundamentals of our freedom formula that we often teach, if you follow that, then it's academic in nature. Mm-hmm. The business success follows. One of my favorite proverbs says, seest thou a person diligent in their work, they'll stand before kings. That's a promise. If you dedicate your life to that mission, then you can't help but reap what you're sowing. So to me, it's a matter of, okay, can I be patient enough in this particular season I'm in, because we launched a business from scratch in January of this year as a coaching business. I sold my company, Financially Simple, 4 years ago for 7 figures, bought it back for $1 in December this year. I'm like, okay, now I'm getting ready to coach business owners and do what I love. And now to take a business and say, okay, we're 9 months into it. We've already generated mid-6 figures in income on a startup business. It's all exactly where we want to be, but it's all a proven framework. So to me, it's not a challenge. It's saying, okay, can I be patient enough to watch what I truly want? What I truly want is I want to be on stage impacting tens of thousands of people. I want the voice and the platform to be able to speak into the business owners and help them move past this prison that they found themselves in into freedom. That's what I
Yeah.
want. But I also realize that everything goes with time, right? The old
Right.
principle of sowing and reaping, right? You and I both live in the country. I have a
Yeah.
horticulture degree, right?
Yeah.
So I've learned a couple of things along the line. Number one is you reap what you sow. If I'm going to sow corn on Rocky Top, I'm not going to get okra. So I'm going to reap what I'm going to sow. I'm going to reap more than I sow. If I sow one kernel of corn, I'm going to get 2 ears, hopefully, on each stalk, and each ear could have hundreds of kernels. So I'm going to reap more
Yes.
than I sow. I'm going to reap later than I sow. Typically, it's not sown I don't reap the next day. If I sow
Yeah.
tomorrow, it's going to take me 45 to 90 days, depending on the cultivar corn that we're going to plant here in East Tennessee.
Mhm.
But get this, I'm going to reap in a different season than I've sown. So if
Mm.
I sow in the spring, I'm not going to reap in the spring. I'm going to reap in the summer. If I sow in the summer, I'm going to reap in the fall. Right now, we're sowing in an infancy of a business and a startup, and I realize I'm going to reap not in its infancy, but it's in its mid-level of the business. So if you understand basic principles of the universe that God put in place,
Mhm.
business shouldn't surprise us. It shouldn't have challenges that we can't foresee. And so we can
Right.
plan for those and move through those.
That's fantastic. I think maybe you and Myron Golden might get along very well.
Uh, I didn't know who Myron Golden was until earlier this year. I've seen a couple of videos, but he and I grew up about the same. In fact, the church that he pastored in South Georgia, my family and I actually helped start that church.
No
And in
way.
fact, after
Brunswick.
the
How about
founding
that?
pastor left, we actually served. I played the piano in that church before he stepped into that church. I don't know him personally, but I can't wait to meet him. He's
That's
impacted my
I,
life.
I think you guys would get along just well. that's
Absolutely.
that's so cool. All right, and then I got to ask, like, what's you hunt, you've got a homestead going, you've got chickens and guinea hens and goats, right? Where do your best ideas come from? Because you've got a lot of options. My favorite thing is mowing in the pasture. That gets me every time, or walking through the woods. How about you?
My best ideas, or where what I call my creativity comes from, is when I'm quiet.
Hmm.
And so, but I have to schedule time to be quiet. So for me, this time of the year, we're here in the fall in East Tennessee, right? This annoying song called Rocky Top is playing everywhere. I'm a Georgia Bulldog, so I like to harass my East Tennessee friends. So it's like this annoying songs everywhere. So for me, whenever I get some solace, if it's me sitting in a tree stand, me driving my tractor in the garden during the summertime, I have a garden, I run the tractor, I have a horticulture, so I love in the garden time. Maybe it's offshore fishing whenever we're down in Florida at our retreat down there. Maybe it's just offshore fishing, just me and my family. It may be like on a Sunday afternoon after church in the morning time, I grab my book, I lay in the back hammock like I have been recently as fall weather we have, reading a book and just sitting there and just thinking. This morning, for example, I woke up, today's election day when we're recording this. It's going to be stupid chaotic in the media world throughout the next week or so. And I remember I got up this morning, drank a cup of coffee, had my quiet time, walked outside, kicked my ball with my dog. We have a mastiff who thinks he's a retriever. And so I kick a ball and he runs and gets it. And we played catch for probably 15 minutes. And just in that quietness of the stillness of shutting this world off. And so that moments that you can actually listen and hear. And you can see creation through the bee this morning. I have a video where I'm talking about my rose bush, and there happened to be a honeybee actually working this flower. And I just take a moment and enjoy that honeybee for what it's doing. And I think in that quietness, for me as a country boy, born and raised on a dirt road, living on a dirt road here in East Tennessee, been blessed beyond measure, just getting back and seeing that God's created an amazing beauty all around us, and He speaks to us through that beauty is a time for me. That's where I often get the best creativity from.
That's fantastic. I love that so much. That's it. There's nothing quite like it. And, so many business owners are so tied to their screens indoors all day, every day, and they're missing this. This is, it's just right outside. So
It
I
is.
hope they will listen to you. So what can you, like any tips or advice, like your best advice that you'd like to pass along?
Best advice. I would give two different things. Number one, and I tell this to my kids all the time, so much so they actually printed a shirt up for me. If you think you can or think you can't, you're right. You're right. And as a business owner, we face hardship. We face, using that term, challenges. If we're not prepared for them, they can be insurmountable. If you think you can prepare, if you think you can build a dynamic business, if you think you can impact your community, your customers, your causes, your charities, whatever it is, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you're going to succeed, if you think you're going to roll with the punches, you're right. Or if you look at this life that we live in as a business owner with this negativity that we often hear, especially in the media, this negativity of life just that we're here and we don't have any control, you're right. And as a business owner, from one business owner 30 years, and I don't have all the answers, but I can tell you the most successful people I've ever seen, they have this attitude of it's okay. They live in a mindset of abundance. Whether that's reflecting on nature, whether that's reflecting on their creator, whether that's reflecting on their faith, whatever it may be, they live in this mindset of abundance that it's okay. No matter what it is, we got this. We're going to be able to do with it. So I think that particular statement has impacted my life more than anything else.
That's a beautiful thing. That's fantastic. All right. Where can people find out more about working with you, Justin?
Sure. So check out justingoodbread.com. You can see all about what we do, all our coaching programs. What I would tell you to do is check out Instagram. Instagram is where we live. You'll see my farm life. You'll see what I call freedom. What I'm trying to inspire business owners to recognize is you don't have to be handcuffed to your business. You don't have to be. You literally can take off 3, 4, 5 months a year if you wanted to. You can literally live a life in God's creation. You can get out and watch the honeybee in the morning time. Think about this. What if you tomorrow did not have to start your day with a grind, but you could sit with a cup of coffee on a back porch swing with your significant other, your bride, your husband, and look at what God's created and think about the blessings in your life versus the problems that you may face in business. What if you could start your day off tomorrow like that? Friends, you can. So check out Instagram. That's what we share there. We try to inspire business owners that there is a different journey outside this grind and outside this hardship that entrepreneurialism truly is. And that you can build a business that's impactful, that brings meaning, and that also offers freedom.
That's fantastic. I love that. You are singing my song. So, thank you so much, Justin. I'm going to kill the recording. 1 second, I'll be back.